You're listening to the sound of the 80s with the Old School Movements podcast.
Welcome to the Old School Movements podcast. Today we're delving deep into the icy and mysterious world of John Carpenter's sci-fi horror classic,
The Thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, and who better to guide us through this chilling journey than the man behind the enigmatic character, Windows. And we hope he hasn't brought that thing virus with him, because that'd be crazy.
We're going to be testing him.
Yeah, we're going to be testing him. We don't. I ain't trusting him holding the fire.
Flamethrower.
The flamethrower. That's the thing. The flamethrower. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Thomas G. Waits in the house.
It was a great time, the 80s.
Amazing. For movies, for music, it was the best.
Everything,
It
was
hasn't
the
been a
best.
decade
Yeah.
like it yet. Great times.
Well, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to take it back today, isn't we, Chris, man?
Yeah.
Let's kick this off, man.
We know you for some great movies, but especially one would say one that's probably the best sci-fi horror film ever. So we want to start in the early 80s now. But I heard that you landed a role as Bobby in American Buffalo, and from that you were spotted by two guys in the audience?
Kurt Russell, and it was the hottest ticket in town at the time.
Yeah.
And everybody was trying to get in to see it. And it was only a 550-seat house.
Nice, yeah.
Which was ideal, by the way, for the play, because every time they try to do American Buffalo in these big Broadway theaters, it never works. The impact and the intensity, the comic violence, all gets lost. But Al was smart enough to start it in a small theater, the old Circle in the Square downtown. So it was the West Village, and I mean, it was like Meet the Beatles, lines around the block. And I'm just a kid. I was 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
25 by the time I brought it to New York. We tried it out of town in New Haven. But yeah, I guess John and Kurt had seen it, and they called my agent and asked me to come in and audition for the thing. And I had no clue. I wasn't into science fiction. I knew John Carpenter directed Halloween, and I knew that he directed a TV movie about Elvis with Kurt Russell, which I thought was very good. And I thought Kurt was terrific.
Yeah. They'd already done Escape from New York by this time as well together, hadn't they?
I guess they had.
Yeah.
I guess they had.
Yeah.
And they were quite tight as mates by then, I believe. They really enjoyed. John really loves to work with Kurt. And so I auditioned, and I got offered the role, which was originally, the character's name was Santiago.
Yeah.
Obviously not a white boy. And they changed the name to something like John Simmons or something like
Sanders or something. Wasn't it Sanders or something?
So some sort of boring wasp name. And I was jogging on the beach in Venice one day, and I saw these really cool green sunglasses, and I wore them into rehearsal. And I'm sitting there in these green, everybody's looking at me like, what the fuck's up with weights?
What's he on?
And then after the rehearsal with the sunglasses, I said, John, I want everyone to call me Windows.
How did you talk him into that?
And he took a drag of his cigarette. He looked up at the ceiling. He put it out. All right, everybody, Tommy wants us all to call him Windows from now on. Let's go to the next scene.
Wow.
And Windows was born.
There you have it.
Now
There you
bite his
have it.
arms off. Yeah. But like the thing, all of us have watched the thing, Thomas, and we're obsessed
Classic.
with it. Stax loves it. We all love it. It's a classic movie, and
Classic.
it's like at that time you had the 80s was the time of great special effects. Okay, you got CGI and stuff now, but we still love that
Blood and guts and gore.
the blood and guts, the the animatronics, the stop motion sometimes in it, and like The Thing and American Werewolf in London, they stand out for 80s horror effects.
Proper horror effect,
Some of the scenes that are in The Thing, you can't even. You think who Who thought of that? Who thought of you getting eaten, you getting attacked by someone's head, by your head, and being flung around the room? It's like, it is the weirdest scene I've ever seen, but it is incredibly crazy. It's incredibly crazy. And then the head turns into a spider and runs off.
Yeah.
Hey, amazingly creepy. Amazing. And every time I see your scene, when you don't let the fire out, I think, why?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I've seen this film a million times, but still in that scene, I'm like, what are you doing? Just press the button, let the fire come out, kill the thing, mate.
Yeah.
But see, that's why it all sort of, because I'm figuring out the character, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what am I doing there? And so
Yeah,
I had this secret inner story that I created, that the guy really wanted to be a movie star. And if you notice, he's sitting there reading a movie magazine at one point when he's supposed to be listening for help. And I have like some trashy star magazine, and like in my mind, and I play the guitar. And once he really had Windows ambitions of getting out of the naval reserves or whatever the fuck he was in,
Becoming a star.
and moving to Hollywood and becoming Brad Pitt.
yeah. mate, you were probably stoned at that scene. Probably.
Yeah.
That's why you hesitated.
Pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger.
He was like the most inept warrior of the entire crew.
Yeah.
But it all sort of worked because, Kurt was like, the hero. And then, you can't have everybody be heroes. You have to have guys that were
different.
what would you really be
personalities.
like if you were trapped up there in the ice for all those months? I mean, sometimes they stay up there for 9-10 months at a time.
You got to go crazy a bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, imagine.
Was any of that shot on location, or was it all studio stuff, the stuff you done, or did you actually go to, was it Alaska or?
Yeah, we went
Canada?
to a place called Hyder, Alaska, which is right on the border of British Columbia and Alaska. And it's a French mining town. And there's no law there.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's lawless.
if there's a crime, they have to negotiate between the Canadian Mounties and the Alaskan State Police who's going to go in this town, because nobody fucking wanted to go in there.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
And there were
Wow.
3 women.
Whoa.
Wow.
3 women in the entire town of Hyder, Alaska.
Oh my God.
3.
It must have been some crazy weekends.
Like 3,000 men and 3 women.
Definitely
Wow.
crazy weekends.
Out in the snow.
And
Wow.
they'd come to the bar. We'd all go to the same bar. And in order to, the initiation rite was that you had to drink this 150 proof, I forget what the hell, they lit it on fire.
You sure it went the thing?
We called it getting Hyderized.
Wow.
We blow it out and then you drink a shot of it, and they're like, okay, mate, you're one of us. I mean, we would get blasted.
Wow.
It was. I mean, being hungover on a glacier is a whole different reality.
You don't feel the cold.
You don't feel
It
anything.
warms you up.
You don't
You're
feel
numb.
anything.
You're so numb. Your head is like throbbing. Why did I poison myself? Now, a good friend of mine that played Fuchs, Joel Polis, a terrific actor and great guy, great friend of mine, he would nurse me through my hangovers. And, he didn't drink. He'd be like, why are you doing this to yourself? Are you punishing yourself? I'm like, I just was going along for the ride. I don't know.
So was it fun on set? Was it long, cold shoots and
You
then
must have had
let's
some-
get
yeah.
drunk?
So much fun.
And some good banter with the guys.
It was so much fun. I mean, John is, one of the reasons that he's a great director is he creates an environment where you're totally serious about the work that has to be done, but you're just having fun. You're laughing and telling stories. And Will Brimley, of course. Will Brimley would stop the entire set. Now, you have to understand, it's like $100,000 a day back then to keep a movie running.
Yeah.
And I mean, grips, gaffers, camera equipment, everybody would stop dead in their tracks, and Will would be like, well, Once when I was in a whorehouse in Nevada, I gave her a Ben Franklin and I said, that's $100 bill.
Yeah.
And everybody would just stop and he would spin this yarn that would go on for 10 minutes and everybody would crack up laughing and John would be like, okay, let's get back to work.
That's great.
Great actor, man.
Great.
It was great fun. We had 2 weeks of rehearsal, which is very rare on films, because they're so expensive. But that it's so, I think it's why the ensemble coalesced as well as we did. He picked the best actors around.
Cast.
Great. Wilford Brimley.
Oh, great actor, man.
Yeah.
Donald Moffat, both of whom have passed. The great Dick Dicehart, another one who's passed.
Yeah.
Keith David as well.
That was Keith's first movie. He and I were in Juilliard together. We were mates. I was 2 years ahead of him. And we used to hang out and smoke pot in the stairwell. And then I leave school, and the next thing I know, I show up the first day of rehearsal. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
You got any weed on you?
So he and I, we spent a lot of time together, Keith and I. We knew each other, and we still, are close friends. I don't see him very often, but when I do, we connect on a very deep level. I mean, we've known each other since we were kids, and
it is great.
Yeah, amazing. So after shooting the film, so on production, and then watching it, did you expect to see what you saw once the special effects came in? And
I really didn't. I really didn't. I was a theater guy. I moved back to New York. Many people said, stay in Hollywood. You have a movie coming out. Stay there. I was like, no. I want to go back to my roots, my theater roots. And I think I did go back and get a play, an off-Broadway play that won the Obie Award, which is like the equivalent to the Tony Awards for Broadway. And, and I was busy doing my work. And then the movie opened, and of course it got terrible reviews. And we were all so shocked because it's a really fine film.
It came out against what was it, E.T. the same year though as well. It had
apparently because people wanted friendly aliens, not aliens that go inside people and split dogs open and stuff. They don't want that.
They weren't ready for it yet.
I guess the story goes that Cat People was supposed to be released in that slot in June, and Cat People wasn't ready yet. So Universal just grabbed the thing and pushed it into that slot and released it, and it got panned. And I know for a fact, because John told me himself, he lost a lot of work. He was supposed to direct the film Christine, based on the Stephen King novel. I think 2 other films that he was signed to do. And he said, they fired my ass right out of there because of the bad reviews. But because he's a great director and a super talent, he, of course, did not let that, stop him.
Hold him back,
And then, interestingly enough, once the internet broke, because there was no internet in the 80s.
No. It was VHS for us.
The internet set the thing on fire.
I would say the 80s. Like,
I would say VHS,
kids,
from it launching on VHS, DVD.
As kids, we watched horror films, and the thing was the standard. It was you have to get on that level, and we watched so many horror films, and I think it's more when it came out on VHS. Because as like video nasties, I think
maybe that's it.
They were big.
It started getting the following,
and the poster cover of the light coming out the face, that's the popular cover. But I remember a cover of like a melting face in the 80s. Do you guys remember that one? It was like the thing transforming. It was like a face.
It was like
melting
I remember that.
I remember that.
And back in the 80s, to see a good cover was I'm watching.
I'm gonna
that
get
film.
that.
And it would look and that was how I saw the thing as a case. And then watching it, my mind was blown.
Yeah, I mean, I love the music. I love the cinematography.
Yeah.
I thought I think Kurt Russell is a highly underrated actor. He doesn't approach it the way like I do or Keith David does. He's not we're sort of trained actors. Kurt grew up in the business, so he kind of, would like make jokes like, what are you guys, you discussing your motivation?
So we knew him for Big Trouble in Little China, around them times as well. And it was the comedy, the geeky sort of, not geeky, but just been more comedy acting.
The guy that can make fun of himself. In the movie.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying
it. He can still make fun of himself.
Then when it came time to do the work, I mean, the guy was as serious and as involved and immersed as any actor I've ever worked with.
But that's again why I like The Thing so much, because in my view, the black man survived. Kurt Russell's character and Keith David, for me, they survived. Like ambulance rescue came the next morning and they escaped.
Right.
That's my version of The Thing at the end.
And I think John even said in an interview recently that he would consider. He goes, well, those two guys are still alive, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. Wouldn't that be cool if he brought them back and made
Yeah. Chris, what did Empire magazine rate this movie?
It's in the top 500 of all-time best classic sci-fi horror films. BFI put it in the top 10. This is a British Film Institute. It's a top 10 greatest alien horror film in the top 10. A little fact about the film I like is the soundtrack was by Ennio Morricone. Tarantino loved this film as well, and he based Hateful Eight on this film. It's very similar in the way it's shot, camera angles, the story. So they used the songs that Ennio made for The Thing, which again crashed, got a Raspberry Award for worst soundtrack. They used unused tracks for that for Hateful Eight, which he won an Oscar for.
I didn't know that.
Just don't get it, do you? You don't understand
Crazy.
that is madness.
Depends on the critics, though. I suppose the critics, they have their own.
Shows you a critic.
It's because it's Tarantino. I think that's done it on the Hateful Eight, but
people that become critics, by and large, are people that wanted to be something else and never had the guts to do it. So they decided to sit back and judge everybody else.
Judge everyone else. Yeah, definitely.
And apparently Tarantino said The Thing was inspiration for Reservoir Dogs.
It was as well, yeah.
Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that.
Yeah, everyone combined into a small set, and it was that paranoia.
So one of the characters in Reservoir Dogs, you were one of those characters in Reservoir Dogs.
Mr. White.
I were. I'd love to meet Tarantino. I mean, he's one of my favorite directors. Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a great film. Yeah. He's made so many great films, and I really would like to work with him.
You've been in a Shakespeare play. You was in Richard III, again with Al Pacino. You worked with him a few times now.
That's right. Yeah, I did a lot of stage work with Al. I did the movie And Justice for All, which was also, that was late 70s.
Yeah.
More than the 80s.
One of your earlier ones.
Yeah. That was a great job. I mean, knowing to get to work with, because as a kid, I saw The Godfather and I was like, I became Al Pacino for about a week, you know what I mean? I've never seen anything like that in my life. An actor of that caliber, he was just so amazing. And then to get to,
be on
first
stage.
of all, I got to audition with him. Which was like,
what was that like?
I don't care if I even get the job. I'm just getting to read with
Al Pacino. Yeah.
And I brought him a bottle of anisette my last day of shooting as a gift, and he said, "Oh, I don't drink anymore." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." He goes, "No, thank you. It's very gracious of you to give it to me, and I'll serve it to guests. But no, I put that down a long time ago." And, little did I know that I would follow the same path. I haven't had a drink in 19 years.
Cool.
And he was one of the first people to point out my drinking to me because I'd come home drunk and, at night when we were all living in the same house, and he'd be like, "You were drinking last night." Yeah. He never preached or made a big thing. It was, he just noticed it.
Yeah.
He heard what you were like on the thing with all them shots. That's what it was.
He heard about me getting hydrized.
Yeah.
That's it, hydrized.
So you say you all lived in a big house together. Who was in this?
So David Mamet is known worldwide by actors as being the most difficult playwright to memorize. His language is just so complex, and if you lose one syllable, you're thrown.
Wow.
So in order to memorize the lines, Al rented a big house up in West Haven on the ocean. And we woke up in the morning, and at the breakfast table, we did our lines. Lunch, we did our lines. Went to rehearsal, did our lines at dinner. He's a very serious guy about the work, and it took us a long time. But it was fun, all of us living in the same house together. We became like brothers,
Wow, amazing. Doing all those lines together, but I think Al Pacino done more lines than any of you doing Scarface.
I'll tell you, being on stage with that guy is like being on stage with live electricity.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
Just the energy.
Electrifying.
2 hours before the performance, you can't call him out.
Wow.
He won't answer you.
Yeah.
Right.
If you say, "Hey, Al, can I have a cigarette?" He won't even respond to you.
He's zoning.
Right.
But if you call him by his character's name, if you say, "Hey, Teach, can I bum a smoke?" Yeah, sure, kid. Here you go. 2 hours, he starts pacing and pacing the room, getting into it.
Yeah, just in character.
Yeah, getting into that.
In the zone.
Getting into it. Let's take it back a bit. Let's take it back, and we're going to talk about another classic film, another film that we love growing up as well, and that's The Warriors. We've had Mr. David Harris on the show already, and we had a great chat with him. But your character of Fox, it was a great character, man. We loved The Warriors, man. What was it like, and how did that experience happen of getting into The Warriors?
So that's kind of like the opposite of the thing. Okay, for me, I gave Walter Hill a very hard time, and I misbehaved, I guess is the best way to describe it. I didn't conduct myself properly on the set, and I kept annoying him, and I annoyed him to the point where he said, "We don't want him back. Get rid of him. I don't care how you get rid of him. Just get rid of him." Yeah.
I thought you left set rather than them tell you to.
No, he fired me, and I wished that he had given me a warning.
Yeah.
If he had given me a warning, I would have shaped up, because I'm a good, I'm not a bad, I had a lot of success very young. It went to my head, all of a sudden I went from practically sleeping on park benches to, limousines coming to my house. And it was a big shift in perspective. And I thought, well, maybe I am great. It happens to a lot of people. My ego got out of control, and it was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. And yet it was the best thing, because I immediately went into therapy, and then I studied a very hard style of karate because I felt I lacked discipline. Yeah. And those things changed the course of my life. So I took something that was very painful, and I regret it. And I've made amends to Walter. At least I've written to him. And amends is, something you do in recovery for your behavior as an active alcoholic. I mean, I wasn't drinking on the set, but there was a lot of partying on that particular set. This was all night shoots, But I thought that the end product was amazing. I wished I had trusted his vision instead of, having my own. Now I can make my own movies. And actors can bust my balls.
Tables are turned now, eh? Tables are turned.
That was another film. I don't think American public was ready for that, or UK public. It was like, this is too violent. It's gangs and gang fighting, and there was a lot of protests at the cinema at the time. But again, now it's a cult movie.
Cult classic.
A cult classic, yeah.
Yeah.
It's on our TV channels all the time. It's always being run. You always see it.
Yeah. I mean, he
Wicked
had
film.
a real vision, didn't he? He would wet the streets down before every shot so they gleamed in the night.
That does look good on camera at night. Yeah, it does.
It looks amazing. And Andy Laszlo, the DP, the director of photography, was just genius, you know, and great to work with. And I fucked it up, you know. I mean, I was a kid. I made a big mistake. I hope I've learned from it. And one of the reasons why I have a capacity as a teacher is I can say, hey, don't do that.
Yeah, you've learned by some
I've
mistakes.
Saved people. I've saved people, friends of mine that have good careers now that were about to go, that motherfucker, I'm going to call him up right now and tell it. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Put the fucking phone down. Tell me. Say it to me. Pretend I'm him and take it out on me. And then they do it. I go, you feel better?
Yeah.
Don't fuck up your career, mate. Don't go. So I can be useful in that regard because I haven't just burned bridges. I've blown them out of the
water. Disintegrated them.
It was a great cast. All of you were. You all fitted together. You know, all had different looks, different styles.
And that lovely Marcelino boy, you know, the Rembrandt, you know, that he was the sweetest kid. He never had a bad word to say about anyone. And these were tough conditions, mate. You're talking about 8 guys running their balls off.
Night shooting, like through the night. It's
I mean, 100 fucking takes in a row, running down the street, you know, after a while. But Marcelino was the sweetest boy, and it was so sad that he was taken early like that. And you know, Walter Hill flew out here for his funeral.
That's good, man.
Really?
That shows you the character of the director.
Oh, that's nice.
But everybody was great. David, Terry, who played Vermin. You know, we all see each other at signings. Snowball. One of my favorites is Dorsey Wright, who played Cleon. And he's a terrific guy and a great resource in terms of musicology. He's this musical encyclopedia, especially about hip hop and so forth. And he was here for the Super Bowl last year. He and his mates came by to watch the game because he and I are both from Philly. And we both are born on the same day, January 8th. Which is crazy.
Connection right there.
You've worked with some really good actors. Michael J. Fox, Christopher Walken.
Chris Walken, who is the funniest. He is the funniest
He's a good
guy.
actor.
You have no idea. He's a great actor. But
you wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't think, but he is a freaking riot. We were shooting in the Philippines where it's like 110 degrees in the shade. And he's going, hey, I got this idea. I want to do a one-man show about Elvis. What do you think? And
That's a good impression. I like that.
And he'd start doing Elvis Presley right out there in the jungles, you know, and sure enough, he took it to Joe Papp at the Public Theater and he did a one-person play about
Wow. The inspiration you can get in the heat.
But of course, he started as a song and dance man, Chris. That's how he started.
He's got moves.
He has got moves. Yeah, he done a music video for a UK DJ, and he can move in that. Yeah, that's really good video.
He can move, and he's a fun guy. You know, he's a lot of fun. He likes to party, and he's a lot of fun. But he's also, you know, an artist. And I remember there was a difficulty on set with one of the other actors, and he was like, hey, Jay, come here. And he takes him over to the side and he goes, this isn't any of your business. What you're doing here. This isn't, you need to stay out of this. You understand? So just go do your part and shut the fuck up.
King of New York style.
Yeah,
King of New York style.
The funniest story of all is I was trying to quit drinking at the time. And we're over in the Philippines, and Chris calls me up in my hotel room, and he's like, hey, Waits, you got any weed? And I said, yeah, I do. He goes, I'll be right up. So he comes up.
It weren't Christopher Walken, it's Christopher running by then.
walking nowhere.
So we sit there and we smoke a joint, and I'm playing my guitar and he's listening. And you know how in hotels you have a refrigerator filled with booze, right?
Mini
Well,
bar.
I had them take it all out so I wouldn't be tempted.
Be tempted.
So
yeah.
Chris, I hope I can do this. Chris opens the refrigerator and he goes, "What happened here?" I said, "Oh, I'm trying to stop drinking," so I had them take it off. He slams the fridge and walks out the hotel room. Walked out, didn't say a word.
No turning back, straight to the liquor store.
He turned his back on me. He walked the fuck out. I'm like, "Chris, where you going?" He didn't say a word.
Christopher got
Dare
walking.
you?
He kept walking on that
He
one.
kept
man.
walking.
He kept walking that one.
So
That's
as well as being an actor, Thomas, you have your own acting school, right?
Yeah, I teach acting. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell us
I
about that,
teach
man.
acting. It's cool. It's like it happened. I was doing American Buffalo, and you know Sopranos, the TV show, The Sopranos.
Yeah, Vinny. Vinny was part of your school, wasn't he?
Right. Vinny came up to me and he's like, he was a bar owner, club owner, and he goes,
He makes a wicked actor.
I want to be an actor. What do you got to do? I said, "Well, you have to study." And he goes, "Where?" I go, "There's schools all over the place, you know." And he goes, "Why don't you teach me?" And I never thought of it before. And I said, "All right, I'll try it."
I can do Mafia.
So we rented a room once a week. He came in and we worked on sensory exercises. And do you want to know? A month later, I had 35 students.
Amazing. Wow.
So I discovered that I had a particular gift for it, not only because of all the experience I've had, but I have a way of communicating with. I make the okay players good and the good players great.
Yeah.
I have a way of pushing people, you know, incentivizing them and exciting them about the material. And I've helped a lot of people, and people that would, like Vinny, would never have had a career. He was living with his dad at the time. You know, 48 years old he was when he started.
Look what he's done
Wow.
now. Goodfellas,
Wow, amazing.
Carlito's Way, obviously The
Oh yeah, he
Sopranos.
works like crazy. you
More
know.
recently, he's
brilliant.
been in the Wu-Tang sagas. He's popped up in that. It's like this guy, you know.
Popped up,
yeah.
Didn't you also teach Alfred Molina as well, who we know as Dr. Octopus
So,
in Spider-Man?
Yeah, a brilliant actor. Alfred, he basically came to my class because his wife was my student. The great Jill Gascoigne.
Oh,
You
wow.
may,
Okay.
you guys probably know her from a TV show she did.
Gentle touch.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jill Gascoigne.
Well,
I didn't know
she
that
was a
his wife.
devoted
And cat
student of
size.
mine and a
Wow.
great dear friend and a brilliant actress.
Yeah, she was good
And
on
she
telly.
kept saying to Fred, you know, "I'm studying with Tommy Waits. I'm studying with Tommy Waits." And he's like, "Well, I got to go see who this guy is." And at first he's like, "This is bullshit, complete fucking bullshit." Then he came back and gave me a second chance and he liked it. And he said, "If I were to join your class, what would you give me to work on?" And I said, "Edmund from King Lear, you know, the evil villain." And he loved it. He stayed for 2 or 3 months, maybe. And he allows me to put his name on my resume, which is a great feather in my cap, you know.
Definitely.
But Fred, a lot of guys have come to me for coaching and or teaching. And also, when I was a kid, I'd be in plays or in films, and people would come up to me and say, "Hey, wait, you know, watch my scene and tell me what you think." I never offered it. It's just people.
People come up to
You picked it up along the way. Yeah, you picked it up.
Yeah, it was one of those things that just it appears as if the universe wanted me to teach,
pushing you
and
that way.
so I got into it, and now I have, you know, the TGW acting studio, which I teach down on Bond Street, which is on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, in a little theater called the Gene Frankel Theater. And I have like 20, 25 kids that work really hard and do brilliant work.
That's excellent.
And I really push them hard. I mean, I'll take a kid right off the street and I'll give him a Shakespeare monologue, a difficult one, like Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of your players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Nor do not saw the air too much with your hands thus, but use all gently, for in the very torrent, tempest, and, as I may say, whirlwind of your passion, you must acquire and beget a temperance that may give it smoothness, right? And this kid will look at me like, are you out of your fucking mind? I can't even say these words, let alone memorize.
What was the first bit again?
A month later, a street kid, a bouncer in a bar, is up there doing Othello.
Yeah.
Mother loves me. I mean, it's
Amazing.
Incredible. It's incredible.
It must give you a good feeling to see someone as well when you see him on screen or on stage. You think, I've helped him with that career, and I've helped him towards that. It must be a really nice feeling.
I do, yeah.
You've also done quite a lot of TV work, like me and Daz here are like Crockett and Tubbs of the podcast world. You've been in Miami Vice and Kojak, The Equalizer, three of our favorites there. Man.
We love it down there.
Did you get to work with Don Johnson and?
Yeah, Don Johnson, Telly Savalas was great.
I can imagine. Imagine working with Telly Savalas.
Man. Watching him work.
Legend.
And he came up to me at the end of the shoot and he goes, Tommy, you got a very real thing though. Keep it up.
That's good.
Stuff like that stays with you. You know?
Of course.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
I mean, I've been watching Telly Savalas since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Of course,
And then I got to do a Law and Order with the great actor Jerry Orbach. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's a terrific actor. Just, oh my God, he was another song and dance man that became a movie star and a TV star, but just a beautiful soul. A great guy.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
TV's difficult, because it's so fast.
Yeah.
You have to
deliver.
Yeah,
Right.
there's no time for any discussion. It's just stand here, say. I've also done soap operas. I've done it all.
You in Buffy, I think, right? Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Mike Hammer.
Oz as well.
Yeah, Oz I did. Oz was supposed to be 3 days of work.
Yeah.
It was about 4 years later.
And it ended up being 4 years later. That was a crazy job.
Oz was a crazy show. It was just it was the first of its kind. It was this X-rated TV, graphic happenings. It's like
I got to kill the drummer of Kiss, Peter Criss. I got to stab him in the neck with a pen.
I remember that. Mate.
Every time I see him, he's like, Tommy.
Yeah, that was
my
messed
neck
up.
is okay.
Yeah, that was graphic, mate. That was graphic.
That was all Tom Fontana. Tom Fontana, the great TV writer, Tom Fontana. He gave me that job, and he'd been wanting to work with me for a while because he tried to put me in a couple of other things that he was doing before that, and I either wasn't available or I couldn't do it for one reason or another. But he cast me in Oz just when I needed it the most. An actor's career is very
sometimes things come at the right time for you, right?
Things can get, and when you're raising a family and you have children and health insurance and mortgages,
everything comes on top.
It can be. It's not for the faint of heart.
I hear that. Yeah,
you have to be very self-disciplined. You have to wake up in the morning and you have to have a schedule set for yourself. And you have to work on yourself.
Yeah. Let's talk about Target now. Yeah,
I'm quite proud of it. I think you watched it, right, Chris?
It's a good watch, man. I thought, it has great characters. It's a really good casting. For me, actors and actresses that I don't really know, but I think the casting's really good. And the leading lady, she's amazing. She's really good. She's a good little actress, I think, man. And location was good as well.
Thank you.
And then the sound as well. I was watching it and I thought, this has got a catchy soundtrack, man. There's some good tunes in this. And then at the end, I see it's all you popping up. I see, performed, written by. I was like, wow, you've done the soundtrack to that as well. That was really good, man. And there's one scene, and there's a painting in the background of Nick and Laura's house. Transformers. It's got Optimus Prime and R2-D2 in graffiti, like black and white.
Oh, wow.
I want that painting, man. That painting's amazing. I've got to find out where you got that from. And yeah, that was good. No, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, there's something for everyone in it. It's really good. Not for the kids though, but something for everyone.
Not for the kids, right? I really pushed the envelope.
It's done really in a tasteful way though. It's not, it's not what you think. What I was thinking, I don't know what to expect here, but no, it was really good. Really surprised of it. And yeah, but what gave you the idea? Is that based on like an own experience?
Yeah, no, actually, it was during the pandemic. I got terribly sick with COVID, and I mean, I was one of the early cases. 103 fever. I couldn't move. I was crawling around my apartment. I was in really very bad shape, and one of my students got me in touch with an Ecuadorian witch. And she said, Tom, I'm 98 years old. I never get sick, not one time in my life. And you know why? I eat garlic like apple.
Wow.
Eat garlic like apple.
She's got no friends in.
So I was so sick. I would have jumped out the window if they said it would have cured me.
Yeah.
I ate a piece of garlic like it was an apple and oil of oregano. And that night I broke into a sweat. The bed was drenched. I saw colors out my window, and I was cured. And I said to myself,
wow,
what do you really want to do with your life? I want to make my own films. Nice. So 27 drafts later, with no money, I started putting casts together on Zoom, and I met Jamie, Jam Murphy. Yeah. I had a meeting with her, and I knew right away she's the one. And then I assembled the cast, and I raised the money, and I shot it in 15 days. I had a great editor, Jordan Santora, a brilliant kid. And of course, I did write the songs, but the guy who did the soundtrack is Tony Daniels, the guy who plays Frankie the Razor, the mafioso guy.
Yeah.
And
Uncle Frank. Was it Uncle Frank?
Uncle Frank.
Yeah,
right.
He was good.
Yeah, he's terrific, and he's my neighbor. He lives upstairs, and he's got a recording studio. So we worked arduously. We shot it in May of 21. We worked for a year, and then we released it in April of 23.
Nice.
That's good. Yeah, no, for that, it's that's really good. I enjoyed it.
And I want to do a horror film next, and I'm going to try to get John to score it. I mean, I don't know if he will. That's a long shot, but Kelsey Grammer has agreed to play the lead.
Oh, cool.
And it's a horror film called Devil's Night.
And look out for
KNIGHT, Devil's Night. And it's sort of like Stand By Me meets Hannibal Lecter meets All in the Family.
That sounds like one to look out for. Now, definitely, any of our listeners, go and check out Target. It's on Prime Video UK. US is on. It's on a few places. I think Apple as well. You can find it.
Apple, Amazon Prime, and Vudu. Yeah.
Yeah, check it out. Some links in the bio below. It's worth a watch. Really good. Nice little movie.
Thank you. Especially for my first film, and for $150,000. And John mentored me through it. Like all kinds of problems would go on, and I'd call him up, and I'd be ready to jump off the ledge, and he'd be like, calm down, take a walk.
What a mentor.
Just think about, what do you love about cinema? Why did you get interested in cinema? To be like, he really talked me off the ledge, mate.
That's it.
And
good
then
teacher.
he saw it. I FedExed it to him. He watched it right away, and he wrote me an email. Dear Tommy, I saw your movie. I liked it. It was funny. You sure got a lot of value for the production.
Definitely, yeah.
Do you need an agent to help you sell that, or what? And that I'll save that email for the rest of my life.
That's nice of him.
Yeah.
To have someone like him who knows film the way that he does.
Yeah.
Respect and honor your work. That's like the greatest compliment you could ever receive. And now it's a question of selling the thing, getting it out there. Without anyone behind you. It's they don't make it easy on independent filmmakers these days.
That is the hard bit.
But thank you for bringing it up and talking about it. I appreciate it. And
cool. So thank you so much, Tom. But before we say goodbye, we do a quiz with all of our guests, and we just ask them quick fire questions based on their environment. Okay.
Okay.
You ready for this? It's not hard. Don't overthink it. Just give us the answer.
Okay.
So the first one is Warriors or the Wanderers?
Warriors.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Taxi versus Subway.
Subway.
Hot dog versus pizza.
Pizza.
And Yankees versus the Mets.
Mets.
Whoa.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay,
Quick fire.
There you go. Quick fire. Thomas, it's been a pleasure having you on our podcast. Ladies
Thank
and
you, lads.
gentlemen, our horror sci-fi hero who didn't burn the thing when he should have. Thank you so much, man.
Guys, girls, everyone who's listening, remember to go and watch Target. Find it on Amazon Prime. You'll enjoy it. And remember to look at The Thing as well. If you haven't watched The Thing for a while, watch it again because it's a great movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Watch the thing and watch my film Target.
Watch the new movie Target.
Yeah, if you like Target, write a good review for me on Amazon.
Support the movie, guys. Support the movie.
Give it a watch.
You know, this guy's done a lot for some great actors, so do a lot for him now. Thank you so much, Thomas.
Thank you, mate. Thank you, lads. Take care of yourself.
You too.
Enjoy
Bye-bye.
the rest of your day, Thomas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Wow.
Wow.
Whoa. Hey, we spoke to Windows.
Man, that was good.
That was
Yeah,
big.
Yeah, that was
brilliant,
bad.
brilliant interview.
Warriors thing.
Very
Man,
good stuff.
loads of films, man. Loads of
He's done
films.
so much stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't even
and
know.
still working. That's what's good,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, good on him, man. So, guys, if any budding actors, out in New York, or you want to go out there, just
Yeah,
drop
find
him
his
a line.
studio. Find his studio, man. Yeah, definitely.
and
Amazing
check out his
character.
movie, his debut movie, Target.
Target, yeah.
Be sure to be watching that, ladies and gentlemen. But for now, we got to go. I'm Mr. Lucas.
I'm Chris.
I'm Stacks.
I'm the Last Dragon, and happy Halloween.
Peace.
Till next time. Peace.
It was the mash. It was the monster mash. The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
Those were the days I remember.